Welcome, everyone. Looks like we were actually live for like 5 seconds. We didn't even know it. So some bloopers right there. But welcome, everyone, to the Tesla Beat number 75. So we got you covered every Friday morning at 8 a.m. PST. So thanks for following us along as we start to head into this holiday season. And hopefully things are calming down a little bit for you. A lot's happened in the past week, obviously with the election results and stuff. But we're going to get you covered up on what you may have missed for the past week. So quick shout out to Joe for always coming up with the amazing grok images. They're getting better every week, it feels like. And I wish I had a body like that. So it's a good reminder. All right.
These are actual bodies.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm the one on the far left. But either way, Tesla stock has slowed up a little bit this week. I think it had done that huge pop, and actually I think we may have what it was previous last week. But either way, it's slowed up a little bit, but still year to date up 30%. I mean, again, if I had a crystal ball at the beginning of the year, I would have never thought we would have been down like 40% year to date, and then you swing from negative 40 to positive 30. It's just huge swing. So, never a dull moment in the Tesla world. Something that broke this week and should not be a surprise, but I would love to see kind of like get into a meaty discussion potentially on thoughts on this. But there are rumors that, Trump is going to get rid of the EV tax credit of $7,500, which obviously Tesla, they only sell EVs, so as far as they would no longer be getting that EV tax credit. As we start to step into this, like, I guess, Trump era, as far as like the new president elect, what are your thoughts on something like this? And then we can actually even get Elon's take from our interview that we did with him about 2.5 years ago.
I would start by saying I think this is an unfortunate thing. I think this is something we should have all seen coming. It was pretty clearly choreographed, but it's the big claim is, well, Tesla will do fine either way. Yes, Tesla's unstoppable at this point. It is an unmatched machine in terms of what they do, but this will induce pain over the short term. This may help Tesla more than it hurts the competitors, but the competitors will hurt. And what this really hurts is the EV space in the US, which is a big market for Tesla. I want all the EV brands to succeed. I want all of the auto manufacturers to have sufficient motivation to actually do the difficult thing and make these vehicles and find a way to make them profitably. And that's difficult to do, as they have discovered. This is a big help to internal combustion, I think, because it will not just level the playing field across EV brands, but across all auto brands. And buyers are price sensitive. Even if only a quarter of buyers are qualifying for the point of sale credit, that's a quarter of buyers who may not have bought one otherwise across, again, all the different brands. So I think it's unfortunate and premature. And if the idea is to replace it with something better, it would be nice to know what that thing is so we could actually weigh it and understand it.
Yeah, I think this is definitely, to Brian's point, clearly telegraphed. And, I think Elon skews in the free market direction when it comes to solutions to problems. And one of the things that I think he's going to go after is trying to, if he really wants to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, then he's going to be going after subsidies of, a large variety, not just these that are part of the IRA, but also those that are given to the oil and gas industry, and those that the legacy car manufacturers receive in other forms as well. And so if he's going to do that, well, he's got to take his own medicine first. He can't go after their subsidies without taking out the subsidies for EVs specifically first. And so, I think it's clearly obvious. Will all of that work out well? I don't know. The Trump administration is obviously going to have a much different strategy to deal with the rising competition that we have from China, both economically and militarily. And there is a scenario in which, instead of using government money to stimulate getting us to try and onshore a bunch of manufacturing and do a lot of just reorganization of supply chains and all those things, through other means besides incentives, instead of using the government money printer go burr as the carrot to get the economy to do what it wants, that I expect the Trump administration to use a lot more sticks. And so that's just what I anticipate happening in this new regime of using sticks instead of carrots, especially when, as an economy, we don't have a deficit that supports our ability to continue using the money printer as a carrot. That this is really not only to be expected, but I think at least worth a try.
My question to all of you would be, do we actually think that there is any chance on this planet that oil subsidies could end?
Well, for sure, that's never going to happen. But the reality is that, like, I'm pretty sure John's going to play this clip, but we're at a really, really crazy inflection point for all of this, for subsidies and for assistance from the government for all these companies. The truth is, a lot of these companies do need it. Tesla, of course, doesn't really, but to make it an even playing field, if you do remove those, or maybe you don't even have to remove them, but the way that those, well, for the incentives for EVs is geared, it's convoluted at best. Like, yes, you can have your battery EV, but it has to be made over here, and it can't be from here, and certain parts can be from here, and I mean, it's like it's really complicated, instead of it just being like this EV and or whatever. I mean, there needs to be a better plan, and if they take this away and come up with something better, then I'm all for that. But I don't think you can cripple the auto industry, because they're going to get crippled for sure if you just take it away completely. And especially, like, you're looking at all these companies that have put in all this work for building the battery factories and stuff, because they were like, hey, you said this funding was coming, and we invested in this area over here and put all this land and made a building and trying to make batteries because it was needed. And I mean, of course, like, you don't want to take that away from them, because there should be batteries made here in America. It's like kind of ridiculous that it took this long for them to even do that. But yeah, I don't think you can just remove it completely and without having something to back it up.
Yeah, my thoughts are, when I think back to 2022, or when I think there was the EV tax credit, where I think you hit like 200,000. Once you make past 200,000, you no longer are eligible for. It could have been 500,000, whatever the number was, but Tesla clearly had surpassed that pretty quickly, and so you had a lot of other companies who obviously hadn't ramped quite as fast as Tesla, who were still getting the EV tax credit. And at that point, if you buying was, your purchase power was a little sensitive and maybe on the lighter side, Tesla would be at a complete disadvantage during those times. And so what's good about this, if this is happening, like, let's say it's just happening and it is what it is, at least everyone will be on a level playing field. And I personally think that Tesla would thrive in this case. And also, too, one thing I don't have in front of me is, all of the EVs on the market. And let's say you remove the tax credit, what are the price points? And in my opinion, if Tesla is, right there, either at the lower end of that side, Tesla's going to continue to win in that space. At least that's just my opinion. And actually, funny enough, so Elon is not calling into this podcast, but we spent time with him about 2.5 years ago. and he actually had commented on the EV tax credit. And the context was specifically what I had said before, which was, you pass a certain threshold, and after that, you no longer get the tax credit, and a lot of these other companies were.
I hear like, oh, Tesla and tax credits. I'm like, okay, well, currently we don't have the $7,500 tax credit does not apply to Tesla, but it does apply to our competitors. So anyone who has not made any company that's cumulative production below 200,000 cars has a $7,500 tax credit, and Tesla does not, because we've long ago exceeded the 200,000 car maximum. So Tesla is at a competitive disadvantage with respect to tax credits. That is quite significant when you're talking about, like, say, a $40,000 car and a $7,500 tax credit. That's like almost a 20% difference. So a big deal. So Tesla is successful currently in spite of our competitors having materially greater tax advantages than Tesla. In spite of it, not because of it. If you eliminated all EV incentives tomorrow, Tesla's competitive position would improve significantly. I'll say that again. If you eliminated all tax credits, EV tax credits, Tesla's position would improve immediately. Yeah, I mean, you'll certainly hear like...
Oh, sorry. So, any thoughts?
Oh, yeah.
On, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, that was when Tesla was not receiving them. So if the tax credit was cut then, it would only affect the only two companies that wouldn't benefit would be GM, who did hit their cap, and Tesla, who hit their cap. That was just that would have eliminated the credit for all of Tesla's competitors to put them back onto the level playing field Tesla was at. Tesla now qualifies. I don't know what his position would be today. I know he has since said eliminate subsidies for all forms of vehicle, but the idea that we're just going to get rid of oil subsidies ignores how much money the oil companies have to buy their positions of influence, because Elon may be the richest man alive, but that money is nothing compared to oil profits globally. It is something that would be very difficult to overcome.
Yeah, I think oil subsidies are like in the trillions per month or something like it's
per year for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I don't. That's why I can't imagine that going away. But I think if you just update the subsidy, I think that could benefit a lot of companies. Because you have a lot of companies that are struggling. You know what I mean? Not to mention like the Lucids and the Rivians and stuff like that are probably going to be okay because they're backed differently than others. But some of these other companies like Aptera and stuff like that, they could use any type of assistance. You know what I mean?
All right. So who has their Tesla red shorts? So again, part of this post, we have to do a little bit more research on, because we are not confirmed that Bill Gates is still holding a short position. He was one of the biggest, he had one of the largest short positions historically, but either way, Tesla shorts in the past, since the election, have lost over $5 billion. I mean, you're not talking million, you're not talking thousands, you're talking 5 billion. So my question to you is, one, what is your thoughts? And two, like, at what point do you just not get a clue? It's just,
dude, I look at people that are currently short in Apple stock. So people just make bad choices all the time, and it's just not going to stop because the stock is doing great and the company isn't. You know what I mean? People just make bad choices. There's nothing more I can say about that.
Everyone has a purpose in life. Sometimes your purpose is to serve as a lesson to others. These cautionary tales remind you that the smartest people in the room are sometimes not as smart as they'd like you to think that they are.
Hans, you have a thought?
I definitely am not the biggest fan of Bill Gates, and so it doesn't necessarily hurt my feelings if he loses a little bit of money by committing one of the classic blunders by betting against Elon. So that I think that really sums up my position on that.
Yeah, my thought is, again, I don't know if he still has a short position or not, but I think a lot of these people who are betting are, obviously they don't care to lose their money because they've clearly been doing it and losing their money over the past couple of years, and they may have even got some on, the downs earlier this year. But if you've lost this amount of money, and more importantly, depending on what your fund looks like, and you've lost this, this amount of money, depending on that volume, get a clue. It's just like at some point, you need to just like move on. And clearly maybe there's short-sightedness in your analysis and something that you're not seeing, because this company is not going anywhere. They, as all of these other companies are setting themselves back on EVs, Tesla is marching forward. And what Elon has said, that again, this was guidance based on what he knew earlier this earnings, which they're going to grow 20 to 30%. So they're going to start scaling again, which was mind-blowing. So for me personally, it's one of those things where I think, I would agree with Brian. Sometimes there's just going to be people in this world who their sole purpose is for these headliners. That's all I can say. All right. So this was an interesting stat. And I think, as we all know, one of maybe the biggest issues with adoption of EVs is making sure that you're connected well. So it looks like I even have, but either way, 99% of the uptime on a Tesla Supercharger, that's an insane stat. But when you guys have talked to your friends and families, what are they worried about? And if you were to share a stat like this with them, how would that change their decision? Or, what is the reassurance that you can give them if they buy a Tesla?
I think my family is past range anxiety. I don't know what obstacles remain. But I am, as far as I'm aware, the only one in my family who has an EV yet, which is crazy because I'm on the West Coast and everybody's got EVs.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that uptime is a problem for people. I think just showing people the map is the biggest thing, because a lot of people aren't aware of what's possible and where you can go and where chargers are.
Phone drop.
Yeah, uptime's not an issue for people who don't drive. Like, uptime's only an issue for people who've experienced problems with going to a charger and then not being able to use it. So it's not one of those things that people think of proactively beforehand. But that said, this is one of the things that is an incredible benefit, even if people take it for granted, of the Tesla Supercharger network. And it's one of the reasons why the experience of, driving across country on a Tesla is so much better than with any other EV, until, those EVs actually really do work well with NEX. So a great stat. And I would 100% agree with Joe on, the map is really the biggest and most important thing. And that's something that, once again, none of the other networks really compete with.
So last night I was at this big event for the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. We were hosted by this brand new apartment building in Tigard, Oregon, that is solar panels on the roof, EV charging in the garage. It's the first path to net zero building of a residential nature in Oregon. It's very, very exciting. And they had a demo of their charge points. So I went ahead and made a video about it. I will have that up this weekend, where I use the app, and they had it unlocked for us for free charging. What charging speed did I get at this charger? 6 kilowatts. And I thought, that's fine for residential, but guys, this is 6. I have higher charging than that at my own house. That's insane. So I thought it was pretty crazy to see the difference in expectations across networks.
Yeah, I think people coming from, like, especially like the great mistake that Volkswagen made. I think people coming from like that type of network to a Tesla is eye-opening. I think they get it from that standpoint, but most people won't know. Like you say, like, that's, your home is getting you a better rate, but those people over there are probably like, look what we did for you guys. 6 kilowatts, baby. Let's get it.
I have a question for Hans, just because I think he also lives, well, I mean, Texas, you would think is like, it's not completely all EV even with Tesla there, right? But, in your location, obviously EVs is probably very small amount of cars, right? You probably can count maybe on one hand, maybe how many EVs or Teslas you see, maybe not, maybe two. But, in your area, what are still some of the biggest, like, reasons people are just not buying it, transitioning?
Yeah, it's kind of the classic things that have been issues for a long time. A lot of people just assume they're really expensive. And then because, a lot of the economy here really is based on oil and gas, there's a lot of people who just philosophically, like, I want to support my community. My community makes money on oil and gas. And so we have to buy ICE vehicles. So, I mean, those are going to be a couple of the factors. But really, I think the biggest thing that it boils down to is, people haven't had an opportunity to sit in one yet, because it's really like the penetration isn't high enough for enough people to get rides. And a lot of people who do actually get to ride in one or drive one, that's really the biggest thing that changes someone's mind. And if you can do that and pair it with bringing down the price point, both of those things will, it's just a matter of time. I think I have seen a couple of Cybertrucks around here. And I think I think Cybertruck will be specifically a big deal for adoption in Texas, because trucker owners are competitive, and the more people see them driving around and then experience what it's like to, challenge that guy in the Cybertruck to whatever, whether it's a truck pull or, any different kind of thing, then that'll really get the flywheel rolling. And then once people are like, oh man, Tesla's cool because of the Cybertruck, then the rest of the cars, will sell well. But, and it's probably better adoption than you think. I'm in a relatively small community, and there's, I think, 4 other people at our small school who all drive Teslas in the morning and drop-offs and the afternoon pickups. And yeah, I think I don't know what the size of our elementary school is, but pretty small. It's definitely not a big community.
Yeah. And I think there's, I think, with this election and the way things have gone, hopefully there's going to be a new market, but we'll see. But let's, Joe, to you. You're on mute.
So Tesla China was up year over year, and I actually wanted to ask Brian about this because I know that he follows the numbers. How does this fare for everybody else? I'm just thinking out loud about how we keep hearing all these crazy stories. Oh, they're losing this and they're losing that, but the numbers just seem to tell a different story every time.
It is crazy, isn't it? The competition has arrived in China. You've got great cars like the Xiaomi SU7. You've got BYD selling a ton of units. You've got NIO, Leap Motors. Leap Motors is already up to, I think, 40,000 units almost last month. That's astounding. But what you're seeing is that Teslas continue to sell. They are not the cheapest car, but people still buy them because it is the gold standard. You can get more bells and whistles with something else. If you look at the year to date, this is going to be Tesla's biggest year in China, and they are exporting more of them to other markets than they used to. But you look at Europe and they're no longer importing Model Ys. Why would they? They've got their own factory that builds them there, but they're still exporting a lot, and the sales just keep climbing. The only way it's not going to be a record year in China is if the changeover for the Juniper dramatically impacts sales. But it doesn't appear that it's going to, at least not yet. So they are doing a live changeover, just like they did with the Model 3 refresh, the Highland, and they are kicking butt over there. So I think these are absolutely huge numbers. The story is not over. It's going to collapse at some point. Yeah, I know, probably will. But I've been hearing that since 2019, and it hasn't come true yet. So just keep saying it, guys, and eventually it'll happen. But
Just
that, yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, maybe. And that's the thing is, at some point, we're gonna say, do you remember when we used to care how many meat-driven cars they sold? Ridiculous.
Yeah, I think especially with Juniper and stuff, I think you're probably going to see a slump, and they'll probably get hella headlines about that slump. But then the overall of 2025 is just going to be gangbusters, and it's going to be irrelevant.
I was thinking for myself, one question I would have is, well, one statement and then a question. Statement is like, it's crazy how Tesla was just primed, like, so, obviously making their EVs, then going into China and getting the favorability that they have to literally own what they have there versus having it partially, having another organization that they had to partner with. So I think it's crazy how well primed that they were and the timing of everything. And as the government specifically is pushing for EVs, and that's very much on the government agenda. So I think, right place, right time, and they just continue to thrive there, which is amazing. One question I have is, how much do you guys think, if any, does the Elon effect have over there? I mean, we talked to May about 10 days ago, right before the election, and she's been spending a lot of time over in China. And she was just talking about how everyone there is just a huge fan of what Elon's doing. And they literally want, not everyone, obviously a lot of people want to meet her. And, but a lot of them, when they come up to her, they talk about, how they're so excited to her because they're excited about the things that Elon's doing. So how much of that, I mean, not that that's going to go into your car purchasing power, but I do think that there is this halo effect that is going to continue to happen in China, partially because of the things that Elon is doing. But I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are. That's more of like a thought on like halo effect. It's not data driven. It's just observation.
So I don't know on that. I think obviously she would have a different environment she's in because people know who she is. And so that may color the discussion a bit. I haven't been to China in some time, since before I was invested in Tesla. I'm planning to go back to Shanghai in April for the International Auto Show, but we will see. It wouldn't surprise me. They are very capitalist in a lot of ways, and they appreciate titans of industry, of which Elon is clearly one.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's hit the next one. All right. So this was not, I knew these guys were testing. I think it was Tesla Latino who actually was at my local Supercharger. And I think he hit something like, this was one of those, like, I think like hidden cabinets that could go up. And he, of course, plugged in. I think Wes from Tesla joked, well, of course, he's going to be the one to find it because he's plugging into every single Supercharger. But I believe, do you guys, I think he hit like 325 kilowatts or something crazy like that. So now I think it's the Cybertruck can now charge the fastest. It's going to be the fastest Tesla charging. But what did you guys think of this when they dropped this video?
At 500 kilowatts for Cybertruck, it's going to be the fastest period charging of any of the EVs. It's not even a competition at that point. I think that them adding in the 1.2 megawatts with semi is going to be crazy for this cabinet. You have a charger that can do both, so they're expecting to have adapters or some type of magic dock for semis. I don't know.
Just for reference, if you have 200 amp power in your house, that's only something like 48 kilowatts for the entire house. So it is, this is a whole lot of juice moving real quick. the discussion about, well, when are we going to see mega chargers at every truck stop? The answer is it's going to be a while, because the amount of juice they need to pipe in is going to be outrageous. If you've got even 10 trucks pulling a megawatt each, that is like a small town of power in one location. You're going to have to really invest in upgrading the infrastructure getting out to it, which is why it's so important for the early trucking companies to have their own charging depots at their own locations, where they already have power, where they already can understand their scheduling. So it'll be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, I think with the mega packs, and I know like here in the Valley, we have like a few locations that have mega packs associated with solar and the superchargers. And so I think that that's what they're trying to do going forward. I know that we also have another location that's supposed to be 168 stalls or something like that happening in NorCal, like way up north, like crazy far up north. So it's going to be interesting to see how they are able to pull this off, and if this is supposed to be part of the semi charging network.
Well, I mean, it's definitely, this cabinet is an incredibly important part of the ability to do the semi-charging. And what it reminds me of is the fact that Tesla really had to kind of get out early before the rollout of the Model S and start building out that supercharger network. And so I think this is a great sign that semi is potentially moving closer to ramp. And then, this cabinet does include the batteries for Megapack. And so I think Brian's point is accurate, that it might be hard to scale this up super fast because of the electrical service needed to power these things, but the demand for, and I think this was a point that Brian Wang made quite a while back, the demand for mega packs based on just trying to scale out the Tesla semi charging infrastructure is very, very significant. It's actually meaningful in the overall demand for Tesla mega packs in general. And so it's kind of a win on a couple of different fronts.
And a mega pack can only hold like a charge and a half for those trucks. The batteries in the trucks are very, very big, and it's not a charge.
So you're saying it's possible?
No, it is absolutely possible. It's just expensive. You just need, just put more than one mega pack at each location, put a handful. And if these are truck stops, a lot of them are in kind of remote areas on the side of the highway where you've got the space. It wouldn't be, the space wouldn't be the constraint necessarily once you're outside of the cities. It would be the cost that would be the constraint. But the beauty is, with so much of trucking, the logistics are already well understood.
Yep.
Buyers know their routes. That's why Volvo and Kenworth are able to sell 150 mile range trucks to buyers at outrageous prices who love them, because they understand their use case and it works.
Yeah, I would say I'm personally really, when they put this out, and even for the trucking, I think this is going to be huge, because you look at companies like Frito-Lay, who just drive the same routes up and down California, and I think Joe has a member. Shout out to Ben, the EV guy. He literally, I think, works right off the highway, and he sees I don't want to say hundreds, but dozens, if not 50 semis go by a day, because of how many that they're just running back and forth. And they're not all obviously Frito-Lay. It's partially the ones coming from Reno to Lathrop or Fremont for the batteries. But all that to say is that, as you said, Brian, all of these are well mapped out. It's not like it's rocket science. They have to create or re-engineer a new path for these semis. And, one thing I know about Tesla, they can build a supercharger anywhere. You look at Highway 5, it's hilarious. They literally took a piece of dirt and just threw up porta potties and then a bunch of these what look like mobile chargers. And they were all, I think at the time, V3s. And then fast forward 18 months later, there's a gas station going up with a liquor store. Or not a snack shop. But they can build it anywhere. So even with a lot of these, especially in some of these, I think, Brian, you had made the comment, it's, these places are very remote. And so the land should either be cheap to rent to like get right off the exit or to build on top of. And so depending on the growth of the semi over the years, like they're going to plan accordingly. And they already have a pulse on the demand for the semi, and they're going to put it in locations of where these customers are going to be purchasing them. All right, Joe, I think we tried to hit this slide like 5 times.
Yeah. So happy 5th gigaversary over there. It's crazy to even think it's already been 5 years, but this is just a few of the stats of the things that they've done. Over 400,000 Model Ys produced, over 500,000 drive units produced, recycling over 90% of the processed wastewater, which is like a big one since wastewater was like a big thing, which is why all those people were like up in arms. Of course, they didn't go to Mercedes down the road, who's got a lot more water waste, but whatever. 6.9% gigawatt. Nice. Gigawatt hours of solar energy produced. Model Y delivered to 37 countries, 270,000 trips via shuttle, bus, and Giga train. Like those are just people going back and forth to work over the past 5 years. It's crazy. Planted over 2 million trees. And contrary to popular belief, these trees are not like the cardboard trees that they had planted before that they removed. These are actual trees with, I think, something like 300 hectares of area covered. It's like crazy. Hired over 12,000 people, opened the gym, the Giga Gym. There's all kinds of things happening. They have the club,
the rave cave,
happening. Like it's just for what was just a lot of what was supposed to be growing cardboard. These trees were made for cardboard and scrap wood or whatever. For what they put in and for what they are producing out of it, it's an incredible feat of manufacturing for the company. I think it's just incredible.
There were people, you remember, for years when Tesla started construction on this, they wanted to move quickly. And so the deal was, we'll let you start building, but if you don't get final permit approvals, you'll have to either change it until it complies or tear the whole thing down. And for years, people were telling me they're going to have to tear the whole thing down. Just you watch, you wait and see. And I thought, yeah, definitely put your money where your mouth is and let's see how that works out for you, because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Sounds but
since then, they've said far dumber things. So I stand corrected and I apologize.
Yeah, no, it was a huge gamble for them to realize the bureaucracy of just the German bureaucracy. I mean, there's like an airport that's taken like 6-7 years. And so it would have taken
20
years. Oh, is it 20?
It was Berlin airport took over 20 years.
That's crazy. So they knew it was going to be a process, and it was like, well, yeah, you can build whatever you want, but if it doesn't pass, then you'll have to take it all down. And then that's what everybody clutched onto. Not the fact that Tesla's legal team knows how to freaking fill out paperwork, but they just grasped onto that one thing, that hope that never happened.
Yeah. What was interesting when I did the Giga Berlin tour, it was that they were mentioning the recycled water and how a lot of these protesters are just uneducated about what Tesla is doing for that area, and how if you were to compare their factories versus a lot of the other ones, they're the golden standard, and there's no one even close. And so when it comes to, it just, again, I don't know if the protest will continue, but it's just one of those things where Tesla will always lead when it comes to having the best factories, recycling things, or making the effort to get to to having everything fully recycled.
Watching environmentalists protest Tesla and not these other companies is like the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life, man. I really don't have too much more to say about that. It's just
yeah, I had a chat with Robin from Robin TV. He's one of the largest auto channels in Germany. And I asked him about the protests, and he's from, his editor lives in Berlin. He's from close enough. He said it's just their culture. They love to protest. Sometimes it doesn't even matter what it is. It's just what they do. It's like the auto shows that I've been to, the car shows, I mean, in Michigan. They don't hold them quarterly or annually. They hold them every week, from as soon as it's warm enough to do it until it's so cold that they have to stop. It's just what they do. And, yeah, so it doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually angry. They just kind of want to be and kind of want to express it, because for so many decades, that was not allowed.
Why is Giga Texas so boring? So one thing I wanted to make a quick comment about is that I went to Austin area last week, and actually in Bastrop, Texas, where they're building SpaceX, X Boring Company and the Starlink manufacturing headquarters area. They actually had a boring tunnel as well, going from SpaceX to the Boring Company side. So you could literally go underneath the road and get from one company to the next. So it's crazy. It's not just Giga Texas, but they're also doing it in other parts of Texas where Elon's building his companies. But Joe, I'll throw this one to you.
Yeah, after being at SEMA in Vegas, you just kind of realize the benefits of having a tunnel. Like this right here is probably one of the best things they could possibly do for this area, because you're going to have the trucks come straight from the factory. I know it's like one of the things for Cybertruck specifically, but I'm pretty sure all the other vehicles are going to use it too. But you're talking about like end of line, straight to the tunnel, out to the freaking out to the other side. Like that's crazy. Nobody's doing that. There's like no other manufacturer that's like even thinking this way. Like just everything that Tesla does and everything that they put into place is like one of those things that's just like everything just makes sense. You know what I mean? From all of his companies to how it works, like the manufacturing to the freaking all the tech that's inside a Cybertruck, coming from, you know, a lot of that partnership with SpaceX and everything. And now you're looking at the Boring Company. It's just like everything just makes sense and it all just works.
To your point in Vegas, where the Boring tunnel operates the loop underneath the convention center and now extends to several of the hotel/casinos, it's like teleporting in a video game. I need to get to another place without all the nonsense, without going on a bunch of side quests on the way there. You just hop in and you're there. It's very easy. It's very quick, and it makes sense in a lot of ways.
Cybercab is coming to a European town near you. And it's actually, because I think they made 17 to 20 of them, something crazy like that. So this is not like the original Cybertruck prototypes. Obviously, as they ramp, they built more, but they have a lot of prototypes to go out. One interesting thing that, when I was having conversations at the Robotaxi event, and really just even as this went on display, I think it technically went on display for the first time in retail in Santana Row, which is in San Jose. And that happened last Thursday. It was like, actually, when we were about to go interview Kimball, I called Kelvin. I said, get down there. It went live. And so he went and got a bunch of footage. But what was interesting about like Tesla doing this is Tesla typically does not display prototypes publicly until it's closer to the launch. At least that's what I heard from when, I was talking to some of the employees over there. And so this is just an abnormal thing. So it's really cool that they're putting these on display so soon after the launch. And now they're even taking it, I think maybe because of what happened with the Cybertruck and the success of that, they are putting these on display all over the US. I think, it may be going on it's on display in Plano, Texas. I don't know if you're going to get out there, Hans, but there's other areas. We were talking to Brian a little bit about that too. So it'll be really interesting to see, how they campaign this, but I think they've unlocked something especially. But again, I just want to say that this is actually not a normal thing for them to do. If you think about when the Cybertruck launched back in 2019 to finally start displaying it in retail stores, you had a long wait.
I think what they found with the Cybertruck being when they started putting them out just last year for people to see them, what they found is it's an incredible halo. It really draws people in. You could not for any amount of money purchase marketing that powerful. And what they found is people came into the store. One person says, I definitely want that. And then maybe the spouse vetoes it and they order a Model Y instead. I'm sure sales benefited from having the Cybertrucks on display, and this will once again draw people out to the stores. So it's very exciting. They do also have the robots on display, and those are not close to production. Certainly not the ones they put in stores. They're just cool. They're just fun to have. And it's been pointed out to me that if it doesn't move, it's not a robot, it's a mannequin. But don't say that too loud or Dan O'Dowd will try and run it over.
Well, it's teleoperated, as we know, right? All right. I'll pass this one to Joe.
Yeah, Time Magazine had this article. It's pretty awesome. So it said Americans sure do love Cybertrucks. Last year, the country's 3 top-selling vehicles were all pickups, and all their utility pickup trucks are significantly source of planet-warming solution. In 2022, light-duty trucks' largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the U.S. transport. The biggest thing about this for me is how they appraise the Cybertruck. Enter the Cybertruck. In the year of its launch since last November, Cybertruck has become the best-selling EV pickup in the U.S., surpassing more tenured rivals despite its hefty $100,000 price tag. It's just, and of course they're going to shout out Wes here. As the lead engineer, but he wanted to give recognition to his team, which is appropriate. Wes is just an amazing individual for anybody who's ever met him at Unplugged Fremont. But I thought this was it was pretty amazing that they did this. And I think with the steering wheel award too, there's just one of the crazy things, like this truck that nobody liked is liked by everybody. It's pretty wild.
Well, they're never going to release it. It'll be illegal. What else did we hear?
It looks like a refrigerator.
Well, I mean, that's still true. More of a toaster, but everyone has a toaster. So
exactly.
Yeah, nobody's going to buy those things.
Toaster? I like my bread just damp.
So I want to make sure we get to the Upbeat, but there was a couple other things that Joe, you'd put in there. So Tesla Cybertruck is available in inventory. So you want one, you can get one pretty quickly now. This is
Founder series though.
Oh,
I think there were some non-foundation series before, but most of these are all foundation series.
That's the only ones I saw was foundation, and I think they're in inventory because they were on display. They were test drive units. They've got a few miles on them, and they want to get them out so they can be at the end of foundation.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want one, a couple of cool capabilities that you don't get, and designs on the interior and exterior that are different, like FSD, and then again some of the other trademark things that you get with the foundation series versus the non-foundation series. 1,000 Powerwall 3s per week. Congratulations to Tesla Nevada. They're pumping these things out faster than
per week. Do you want to read that tweet again? That post?
A week in a single day. Sorry, what do I know?
Per week.
That reminds you, don't read the headline. Read. So 1,000 a day. That should be a blooper. But yeah, so Tesla Nevada, you guys are cranking faster then I can actually pump out what toast out of the toaster. It feels like you guys are pumping out 1,000 a week, so 1,000 a day. Which
that's
is
pretty crazy. That's a lot of Powerwall 3s.
Yeah, it is a lot. And again, the energy business has the best gross margin or gross profit, so it's gonna print money for them as they sell and ramp these.
Where are they getting these balloons? There's so many zeros. All these zero balloons, they're sold out at every Party America.
All right, Joe, I'm going to let you hit this last one.
Lease a
then we'll jump into Upbeat.
Cybertruck and save $7,500. So I think, I mean, first of all, to even have it available for lease is pretty awesome. But to know that they, I mean, I highlighted it there because this is from X, of course, but the incentive, $7,500 off. I mean, because you're not going to really get it, the commercial tax credit, any other way right now for the Cybertruck. So leasing it and getting that incentive is pretty major. Like that just, I mean, you're talking about a low monthly payment right now, but look at that interest rate.
Yeah. Never been a better time to get in one. All right. So, hold on. Do we? All right. Let's just hit the Upbeat. Just given we have 8 more minutes. Or what do you guys want to think? You guys want to hit Doge real quick?
It's happening regardless. I don't think it's
okay.
I don't know.
All right. Doge is happening. If you don't know what Doge is, we're not talking about the meme coin, which has also ripped in the past week. Crypto has done well. But Department of Government Efficiency, they're going to be posting everything on X specifically for transparency. All right. So Upbeat, what this is we're just getting, it's a bunch of topics. We're just going to get people's live reactions. We're going to start with Hans on the first one. Give us your reaction. Tesla Supercharger Diner has a screen.
It looks like a great place to go hang out. Like, I wish that I had something like that around here. That would be a fun place to take the family, get some food, check out hopefully something good on the big screen. I'm excited that Californians finally have this long-awaited Tesla's location close to being completed.
Yeah, they're also revamping Kettleman City too, the lounge side. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that.
And the 168, the huge charger that's going in, is also along the I-5 corridor. There's going to be a bunch of really great choices. I'm, sad for the people who live behind this who, you didn't have the air rights to look out your window, and all you were going to look at was other buildings anyway. But if you look at the other apartments that actually can see the screen, they get free entertainment all day. What a benefit.
It's just a giant screen out of your window.
The back.
Somebody's complaining for sure.
They already did. It's taken them years to build this thing. All right. Brian, we'll pass the next one to you. Tesla, that's a wrap on wraps.
It was a great idea, but I don't know why it was being done at the service center level. I think that gets too fiddly and complicated, especially for Cybertrucks. They should be wrapping them at the factory, and forget 3 choices, forget 11 choices, have just as many as you want, because if your job is to wrap one corner of the truck, you're going to get real quick at it, and they could make an absolute fortune doing it at the factory. No goof ups, no confusion, no learning curve. My job is to wrap these 2 doors, and that's it. You get so quick, but I guess it's just too many moving pieces. So it's over, and there's no shortage of companies out there that would love to wrap your Cybertruck.
Yeah, 100%, man. Cybertruck wraps are like booming right now. Like, what a odd that they got out of the business as it was about to ramp up.
Has there been a more wrapped vehicle than the Cybertruck?
Model 3.
I would think that the only reason Tesla shouldn't be in the wrap business is if the warranty on it is complicated. Because if you have to warranty it, people who don't take care of their wrap are going to have warranty replacements.
Yeah, it's probably a bigger part of it than anything.
All right, Joe, I'm going to put you on the spot. Giga Shanghai Tours incentive.
Yeah, they're doing a massive incentives right now for people who get vehicles and stuff like that. They're opening up the tours for Giga Shanghai, and I think that's pretty cool that they even have this. They're gonna they have a tours in December 3rd. Winners will be able to bring a friend to the tour, and they will receive a round trip air tickets. Wow, one night accommodations and everything. So Giga Shanghai gets all the fun. If you don't know, for whatever reason, Asia does whatever they want, and they have some of the best things happening right now.
They just hired a brand ambassador, I heard.
Right. Yeah. The Korea girl that the marksman that Elon was
Yep.
talking about. Yeah.
Oh,
All right, Brian, the next one to you. Cybertruck Giga Wiper is only $75.
that's a great price for something as monumental in scale. I think I saw a semi on the highway hauling one, but it might have been a wind turbine. Yeah, this is it answers the question, and I'm sure we will see these available from other part suppliers that may even be less expensive or more fancy or something else. But you know, it's a large wiper. It is a windshield. It's less of a blade, more of a katana, but it does. Yeah, it's fine. It's no big deal.
I'll wait till it shows up at Costco.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Hans, we're gonna go to you. We kind of already met the first Tesla brand ambassador.
Killer.
Boom.
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 All right, Joe. Next one to you. Tesla third-party support is ramping.
Yeah, I think as they get more and more vehicles and you end up having more and more sales, I think having third-party applications is going to be a big thing for Tesla. I know a lot of people have been talking about app support for years, and once Tesla creates an official app store, I think it's going to freaking be game over for a lot of people.
And with the support for even for repairs, there was a question, oh, nobody knows how to fix EVs. No, it's just that the vast majority of EVs that have been sold were still under warranty. Once the warranty expires, and a lot of cars have finally come out of warranty, the options open up. Now there's an actual market for it. And almost any city you live in, you can just look up EV repair and find more than one shop. But yeah, getting the third-party apps, getting the developer support, this is going to make what's already the best ecosystem that much more interesting.
And I think that there's one more important aspect to this, and that is the fact that their experience developing this third-party app ecosystem for the vehicles is going to pay extra dividends when we get to the Optimus humanoid robot. I think that apps are going to be an incredibly important part of how the Optimus bots end up being extremely valuable to a lot of people. Like we're going to have to do the Steve Ballmer of humanoid robots. Developers.
What would you want a bot to do that it doesn't do from the factory, Hans?
Lots of useful things. Folding my laundry.
I think it'll do that from the factory. Hands on.
All right, we literally are at the top of the hour. Ended another weekly podcast, number 75. Please quick shout out to Joe for helping create the storyline this week. Give him a follow at SJV Tesla. And then please, again, everyone's tagged on X, and the YouTube channels are tagged as well. Please subscribe and follow them on both platforms if you're there, and support them because they are giving up their time each week to be here. So we appreciate their insights, and thank you again for watching this podcast, and we will see you all next week. Have a great week, everyone.
Peace.